A brand identity is a signature. It's a signature of the promise that was there all along. It's like signing a legal document. If you believe in what you do, then you're going to sign it and it's going to mean something.
The biggest thing that I got from him, actually two things, clarity and confidence.
It's the promise that what you offer aligns with how you present yourself. I think that's what branding is.
On episode 371 of the podcast, we talk about the deep impact of authentic branding on your business. We also talk about strategies to align your brand with your evolving goals, your ever evolving goals. Maybe I'm just speaking to myself, but my goals constantly are changing or being refined. And so you want to make sure that your strategies are aligning. So we talk about that. And then we also talk about the importance of building relationships and strategic positioning. All that and so much more on today's episode. What is up, friend? Hey, thank you so much for being here. My name is Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast. I built this show, created this show years ago. I mean, we're inching nearer and nearer to episode 400. My heartbeat behind doing this show, one, I'm like a learner. I love learning. So to have so many amazing guests on that I can ask questions about business and marketing and operations and all the things to help my video production business has been a huge gift. And I kind of didn't realize how much of an impact that would have on my own businesses. But then my heart is for you to grow and succeed. And you might think, Ryan, that's really weird. You have a production business. Seems like you should be trying to squash your competition, but instead you're creating amazing content for your competition to devour, and your competition may end up devouring you. Well, my friends, I believe in collaboration. I believe in community over competition. And I feel like I live a more freer life with that mindset. And I think if anything, having launched this brand years ago has brought a lot of fulfillment to me, but also I think has been very beneficial for my own video production business. So while I share a lot on this show, I have online courses and we have a private membership that I share lots more about what we do, how we've built a 7-figure video production business, and I share the ins and the outs. And every brand, every business owner is different. So I thought there was a little part of me that was so nervous. Years ago, we started selling our budget sheet that we use when we're estimating budgets for new projects. And there was part of me is like, I'm giving away the formula. I mean, literally, this is how we approach projects. This is how we quote projects. So what's to stop somebody from quoting the same kind of job that I'm quoting? They know all of the secrets of how we quote, and they could just quote lower. Well, I'm glad that I kind of fought that fear, because it has been so fruitful. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people. Our little budget maximizer course and spreadsheet is our most popular thing. We started offering this at the very beginning. This was something I didn't even realize was unique to our process. I knew it was unique for us, but I just didn't realize how helpful it would be for so many others. And it has helped so many people. So I'm grateful for being able to overcome a mini challenge in my mindset to say, don't equip these people with things that are going to help them get ahead or be more efficient. You want them to suffer and die. You want their businesses to be destroyed. Okay, I don't think my internal voice ever said anything like that, but I think you understand the picture. So if you're a filmmaker, if you're trying to turn what you're doing, this craft, into a sustainable business, you're in the right spot. So thank you for being here. We have some things coming up. We've got, we're opening our 10X filmmaker community back up. We are going to be doing some cool live workshops and creating opportunities for you to be able to connect with other people in the video community. So if you're not on my email list, you need to get over there, because I share recaps of the podcast. I share about our in-person events. I'll share about our upcoming launches, and the best way to kind of keep track of that stuff is not through social media, but is via email. So if you have never signed up for our six-figure filmmaker workshop, do that at studiosherpas.com/workshop, and then you'll be on our email list, and you'll be notified of future things that we're doing. That six-figure filmmaker workshop is a great workshop if you're just being introduced to me and to this community, where I share my learnings from the past 20 years of running a video business, and challenges that I've faced, things I've overcome. And I've whittled it down into less than hour-long workshop for you to glean some wisdoms that I've gleaned, that I've learned, things that I've learned that you can apply in your business, so that you can do things faster and more efficiently and smarterly. So if you haven't gone through that workshop, and maybe you have gone through that workshop and you've gotten emails from us and you unsubscribed at some point, well, my friend, come back. 2024, this is a big year for this business, as I'm trying to apply the 10x is easier than 2x mindsets and approach to my life and my business. So I'm just telling you right now, there's some cool things and some big things that are happening inside of this business. Okay, all that to say, I'm so glad that you're here. I want you to get a little bit closer if you aren't in the circle of trust. All right, let's get into this episode with David Masters. Here we go. What's up, friends? Welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me is David Masters, who is the co-founder of David Masters Group. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Small world. So crazy that you are familiar with Oxford, where I grew up, and super grateful for Josh Emmerich, our mutual connection, who's from Ohio, who's actually way closer to me in proximity than you currently are, way over in, you said Portland?
No, we live in Southern Oregon. Yeah, right above California.
What is there's an airport there.
Medford.
I've flown to Medford quite a few times. Yeah. Yep.
Usually when people get here, they're like, "Oh, there's no gate. You have to walk outside."
Yeah. That's great. The other great thing about Oregon is we had to buy a drone for a job when we landed. Our client was like, "You know what? Did you guys bring your drone?" We're like, no. She's like, "Can you get one?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." We went to Best Buy, and we paid the exact price that we saw on the tag, because there's like no tax or something like that. I just thought that was the weirdest thing I'd ever encountered.
Yeah. The no tax, and you can't pump your own gas at most places.
It's
taken for people.
Mildly offended if you try to do that. Well, anyway, let's see. I digress. David, share a little bit about. Josh spoke super highly of you. Share the work. What do you do? How do you spend your time? How do you and your wife in this business help people?
Yeah. So my wife and I were co-owners of like a larger marketing agency years ago, right before COVID, and it was good. It was good. We grew quickly. We had a lot of success with that. We worked a lot in the medical vertical, and then COVID happened, as we all know, and it hit us all really hard, and especially in the medical vertical, if you had a lot of that. And so my wife and I stepped back, and my immediate reaction was like, I'm moving back to the city. We had lived in Cleveland, Ohio before that, and I was like, we're going back. We're doing a job. And she's like, I feel like you need to step back, maybe like pray about it or think about this a little bit before you do anything. And so was like, she's like, what do you find valuable for people? Where do you want to offer value to them? And said, well, with our background and what we do, she has a strong communications background, and I came from the art and design background, and the particularly the conceptual side of things. We said, like, why don't we focus exclusively on branding? Why don't we take no more than 4 to 6 clients a year? And why don't we treat them like friends, really get to know them, and spend that entire year with them, developing them and developing their brand, growing them, and providing value to them. And so we launched David Masters Group. We co-founded it. My wife and I, who is way smarter than me, but she's not here. And we took our first few clients, and those small clients turned into larger clients that turned into retainers. And now we're almost 4 years in, all completely word of mouth. And we've grown exponentially. We've been able to bring on part-time help. But we focus exclusively on positioning and branding. So from the brand strategic standpoint and developing brand identity based on that. For clients, our goal is always, to try to bring them value. We try to quantify it. We usually say, 15 to 20% year over year increase in business and revenue, depending on their goal. And we've been pretty accurate with that so far, but that's it. And yeah, we just continue to do this and love it and love the people we work with.
That's great. For someone who has never... I'm rewinding in my brain here to like 20 years ago. And if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'm a brand specialist, I can help you with positioning, blah, 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 like say all these things that I've never heard of before. Cause I'm like, well, I mean, I kind of feel like I know what a brand is, but I'm just a small, solo video guy. Like, what are you even talking about? What would you say to somebody that has no clue, why you believe that branding and positioning in the work that you do is important, and could it help somebody that's a solo freelance video person or some other freelance position?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and ironically, that's a question we battle with a lot. Oftentimes, we get that, oh, you do marketing. Well, kind of. I like to tell people it's like we build you an engine that you can put the gasoline into, right? The marketing gasoline. And a lot of people will start with the pretense of, well, we need to market. And it's like, I tell them it's like pouring gasoline on the ground. You're not really marketing anything unless you have an engine. And so our focus is bringing clarity to people. And I think that's what brands do. It brings clarity to somebody's story, and it communicates a message emotionally. It communicates it, cerebrally. I think that being able to communicate the message, being able to inspire and influence people to continue to be loyal to your company or your story is hugely important. Another anecdote, because I love anecdotes. It's kind of like you wrote a really good story, but you put it on the wrong bookshelf. No one's going to read it if it's on the wrong bookshelf. You have to have it on the right bookshelf. You have to have it in a place, in a way, written in a way that people will understand it and connect to it. And that's what branding does.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great explanation. When I did go through the branding process, I had a friend of mine, DJ, the guy that I talked about in that episode that you were referring to. He had approached me. My business was still pretty new. I think I was 2 or 3 years into running this business, and I was mostly just a glorified freelancer. And he said, "Hey, I do brand management. I help create brands." And I'm like, he's like, would you like me to do this? Go through my process with you and stuff? I'm like, sure, like whatever, coaching or consulting or whatever you want to do. Like that sounds great. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but the biggest thing that I got from him, actually 2 things: clarity and confidence, right? It was like, he'd asked me all these questions. We did this deep dive into, what I care about and what are my dreams for the business. And if I had one kind of client, what would that client be? And what would we do? And why do I even care about this work at all? And then he was able to regurgitate that in a way that it was me, but it sounded like so much better than me, because I was like, wow, you articulated something that, I probably talked to you for 2 hours, and you were able to like create a one sentence, that just really is all of that stuff that I've got inside of me. That is amazing. So I got clarity, right? I was able to, like you just said, I was able to have this book that was our brand, and
Yeah.
instead of like just on a random bookshelf, to say like, oh no, it actually goes in this section on this shelf next to this book, and so somebody else can find it. And the confidence that I received as a result of going through this process, to really understanding like, there's a lot of specificity around, or there can be a lot of specificity around who we are, who our target is, what we bring to the world, how we're a little bit different than, the person on our right or our left. And when you can understand that and articulate that, it helps other people understand. But for me, it was like I got this huge boost of confidence that I felt like I could sell what we were doing, not to anybody in the world, because I knew at that point, like, oh, we're not for everybody. But for the people that I was for, I was like, I feel like it's ridiculous if people aren't hiring us, because like, this is exactly who we are. This is what we do, and this is who we serve, and this is how we do it, and all the things. So it is really, really powerful, the kind of work that you do for people, especially people who don't get it at all, to have any type of a win in getting closer to understanding what is a brand, what is my brand. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really good. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, because I think oftentimes when people start businesses or companies, or want to get their giftings out there, they say things in light of like features and benefits. Like, this is what I do and this is the benefit it'll bring you. And I think that falls short, because that doesn't directly always point to value. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I, you know, I make hammers, and my hammer is really good and it'll hit the nail really well. That doesn't tell me what the value is. The value is that you're not going to hit your hand anymore, and it's going to save you time. Getting to that point where people can express the value that they offer the world, and get other people on that train and get them excited about that. That's exciting. That's more exciting than I built hammers.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of times people start to equate the work of branding to like, oh, you do marketing. Well, yeah, as a result of understanding your brand, you're able to market like so much more effectively. And
yeah,
that's a huge gift and a huge tool for any business.
yeah, no, it's so true. And get to the place where you understand that your brand, it really is, in a lot of ways, it's your most valuable asset, right? And because there's a lot of exceptional filmmakers out there, people doing what you do, or even what I do, but it's your specific brand, the way you interact in the marketplace, the way you emotionally connect, that really brings that value, and the authenticity and what we do. And yeah, I even think like shows like this, what you're doing on here, that's part of the brand, that's part of your story, that's part of the value that you offer people.
I'm lecturing. I'm a guest lecturer tomorrow for a college class. I am a little intimidated. It's at the University of Michigan. I have no business teaching a class there, but it'll be exciting, and I am a little bit nervous. We're going to be talking about branding, and it's a social media class, and I'm going to talk about authentic storytelling. I'm curious to know from your perspective, how important is a personal brand in light of, when you're thinking about video companies, whether it's a freelance video person or it's somebody that owns a video production studio, how important is a personal brand in this kind of work?
That's a bigger one. I think that the personal brand thing, that has become such hate to say buzzword or thing as of late, right? Especially with a lot of social media or people doing solopreneurship. I think the biggest thing I think to remember with your personal brand is integrity. Um, I think back to like when I was a kid, my dad taught me the meaning of the word integrity, and he defined it right. Like it's you're going to do the same thing when people are watching you and when they're not watching you. There's a truth there to that, and I think that personal branding, if you're going to put yourself out there in the world, it's incredibly important. But don't just turn it off. Don't just be like, well, I'm this to the people I speak with in the business world and to the people I'm selling to, but I'm this way at home to my family, or to people I don't like. And there's a disingenuousness to that. I think authentic branding, real branding, kind of touches on all those points. And if people can get that straight, if they can be authentic if in the way that they approach the people they work with, and authentic to their customers, and authentic to their team, and especially authentic to their family and those relationships, then I think it's incredibly valuable. So and don't reduce it to like I own a company and I need to put a logo on something. I think the logo is a brand identity is a signature. It's a signature of the promise that was there all along. It's like signing a legal document. If you believe in what you do, then you're going to sign it and it's going to mean something. But if you don't believe in what you do, then it could be the most awesome design in the world, but nobody's going to buy into it, and the personal brand will still suck. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I agree with your perspective on that. The personal brand, the more you can let your work spill over into your personal and vice versa, and it's a more free way to live. Right, where
Yeah.
you don't feel like you have to, oh, I've got to turn on my work self and my work personality, and oh, now I'm home, and let me turn on this personality. If you can just be, right,
Yeah.
and like live into that and work from that, and that it just becomes so much more easy as an individual, but then also as a buyer, from a buyer's perspective, whenever we hear something in the news or we see somebody's story that doesn't align with what everything else that we know about them, it's confusing, it's frustrating. Some people get really angry, and and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that think that they need to show up a certain way that isn't totally true to who they are and the authentic life that they might desire. And that just makes it tough. So what I've found in my own life and business is that it's been so much easier to really just kind of be like, hey, I'm that same guy. The people at work, the core values that we hire and fire by at work, these are the same core values that I'm not going to fire and hire my kids. But like these are the same standards that I have at home and that I have for my friends, and the things that I want my friends to challenge me into, invite me into, and the way that I would challenge them. It's the same. It's kind of it overlaps. So having that overlappingness, it minimizes surprises for potential clients. And I think it helps accelerate new relationships where people know when they see me, when they meet me, they're like, oh, okay, I've heard your show, and yeah, you're kind of like that same guy. I mean, you look a little goofier in person, but I guess what you see is what you get with Ryan. And that's the best way to start new partnerships, new work, ongoing stuff. Yeah, I get frustrated when we've got clients that they give me their work self, and I'm like, this is not how you really are. Like, there's nobody would like you, and I know you have friends, and I know you're married and you have kids, and those people probably like you. So can you just be you?
Yeah. Yeah. And people smell blood in the water, if and that's what branding does as a whole too,
Mm,
right? It's the promise that what you offer aligns with how you present yourself. I think that's what branding is. And if you either have it or you don't, and not that you can't cultivate that genuineness in your life and genuineness in your work, but I think it starts with being integrated with it, right? It's it should ooze into every single aspect of who you are and how you present yourself. And so
Yeah.
you said personal brands. Yeah, I think it's incredibly important in that regard. But I think it's incredibly important that the people you work with can really see you too, see you shine through.
Mm.
How many big companies are out there, man? That it's like they get so big that it's like they wear a mask, and it's like, I don't really trust you. Your
Yeah.
story is no longer valuable to me. It's there's too many layers here. Yeah, I don't know if that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that held me back from jumping into the world of corporate video for the longest time. We were doing wedding films and meeting all these families and all these amazing couples, and like there was no reason for them to not be like totally open and authentic. They wanted us to tell their story in the most open, authentic way that we could. And when we started dabbling with like work corporations, we had opportunities to work with some really big brands right out the bat, and I'm just like, ugh, there's so many layers and there's politics and this isn't really how these people really are. Like they're putting on the face that, the mission, vision, values, all the thing that says on their website, that's what they're trying to be. But it's like forcing something that's not actually true and authentic to that person. And I was like, I don't want to, is this who I'm going to work with? Like, are these the kind of people that we want to work with? And then when we were able to brand ourselves as like, hey, we are a video company that's working with businesses, but our whole thing is video with soul. Like we want to get to the heart and soul of your brand. So if you're not showing up authentically and true to, who you really are, like the videos that we're going to create for you are going to fall flat and they're not going to connect emotionally. So if you can show up like this, so we did in our branding, we try to communicate what we do and who we're really after so that we could try and avoid working with like, the heartless, soulless brands out there that just care about the bottom line and, want people to sound like robots or are okay with their, staff sounding like robots when they're on video.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that video does such a great job at capturing those elements of the brand and being a part of that story. Um, when it's done well, of it, when it's done
Mm,
well, it really captures, like you said, the soul of someone else when it captures that promise. But it's like any other communication tool, there's the tool is only as good as the hand of the person it's in, and
yeah.
so you like, again, you can have a great design, you can have a great brochure, you can have a great business card or any other element, but if it's disingenuous and it doesn't align to that value, then it's falls flat.
Yeah. And
Just
that's where I would say if you have somebody that really knows what they're doing in the branding space, they're going to be able to not lie, not create a brand that's not true to you. They're going to do a great job at saying like, this is who you are. This is who you are on paper. And then this could be translated into a video if you ever make a video about you and your brand. And this is how it could translate to a business card or to your bio on LinkedIn. Like that's what a great branding person can do is take all of, what you're saying and how you're living and the things that you care about and to be able to communicate in a way that really is like, oh yeah, if this was a logo or if this was a web page or if this was a brand video, this is what it should look like, feel like, sound like, and this is how it should make somebody feel at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I would take that one level deep because you're absolutely right. It's there's how does the person push those ideas out in the way that they care and they see about it. I mean, when it's self-reflected on the company or the brand, but also something to consider that I think is incredibly important and often missed is asking the target market or the people who are going to be interested or potentially interested in you how they perceive you. So it's that old adage, right? Like we don't often see ourselves from inside the jar. It's hard to read the label, and
Mm,
so when somebody else tells you that, well, you think you come off this way, but what you're actually saying is this. My wife is phenomenal at that. I'll be building a brand ladder or something for messaging strategy or design strategy in the studio, and she's like, that word that doesn't say what they think it means. And she's like, it should be this word instead. And I'll have been working on this for a month. And she'll come in and mic drop, walk away, leave me sitting there going, all right. So the people, the way they see it matter too. And we didn't get that right. And we need to retool this whole thing.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important for people when they work with somebody who's going to do their branding, or work with a videographer, work with anybody who's going to put soul and express something in that way, communicate something that way. Ask questions from internal and external standpoint, and make sure, see where that overlap is, right?
Yeah.
Like, ask the same question, but paraphrase it in a way where the people who are going to buy it are going to be interested too. Having a more full and robust view of it.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And I think early on, actually, when my friend DJ took me through the branding exercises and branded our first business, on the other side of that, I was like, this was awesome. I loved this so much, and what it helped me do and achieve and all that was just worth so much. Now, in the videos that we create, when we talk with clients, it's way more than just saying like, okay, tell me about the video that you want or the video that you need. We kind of become like we use some branding skills in some things that we've learned along the way to really try to get to the heart and soul of like, who are they really, and how do we help them be reflected in all of their authenticity in this video, in this project. So I think my love for branding has helped us position ourselves in a way that's a lot deeper than just like, okay, tell us, where do we need to show up, and where should we point the cameras, and you want the edit to kind of look like this other one that you sent us? Cool. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. I mean, that can serve a purpose, but
Yeah.
what we're trying to do is build a legacy brand, and one that positions itself different. Right.
Yeah. Love that. And legacies take time to build, man. Ryan, I think about this often. Like, people will be like, all right, cool. I need a logo and I need it really quick, or I need a video and I need it now. This
Right.
microwave generation we live in. And I think
Yeah.
that, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that in some ways there is some of that mentality in the AI world too, right? Like, we can do it really quick, we can do it really cheap, we get it done. And you don't have to care about the time and the effort and the relationship and any of those things. But in my opinion, I think that if somebody comes to you and they tell you they can build you a brand and do it in a month, then I would run the other way. I don't think, how are you supposed to really become a friend with somebody, really get to know them authentically? It's like, it is like friendship. How can you tell other people about your friend if you don't even really know them? You know what I mean? I can't go out and say, Ryan does all these awesome videos. This Sherpas, the video podcast, is awesome. What they're doing is awesome. But you didn't have a conversation beforehand, or you didn't get to know them at all. It just won't work. So authenticity starts, there's some time, there is an emotional currency and a relational currency in that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where to leverage with clients to say, like, we can do this project, this one-off project, that's fine. But when you look at who you want to be and how you want to be showing up in the world, think about if we really dove in deep, long, we kind of had this relationship that is ongoing, because we're going to get part of your brand right from the beginning. But the longer we work together, the more you're going to understand who you are. That's just the way that life works, I hope, in most cases. And the more we're going to understand you and be able to position you more true to exactly who you are. So we can look at this whole relationship as a one-off project, give you what you need, and you start marketing it and using it, whatever. And there's also this opportunity to say, what would it look like for us to partner on other things so that we can begin to understand you on a deeper level, and I think provide even more value to you and to your clients through that kind of a relationship.
Yeah, and that's it, right? That's the thing we're all trying to give people is value. We're trying to close that gap and offer them real value. Yeah, that's so good, Ryan. That's so good. I think that one of the other challenges too that we often face, I think all of us face it, is value being subjective too. I've been thinking a lot about this. That it doesn't look the same to every single person. So while on one hand I say, there's a tremendous value to this long-term relationship and building in that way, some people do want the quick and fast. And at the end of the day, it's like the buyer gets to determine the value and the seller gets to determine the price, and that's the way it works. And so I can tell you that it costs this much of your time and energy, and you can say, well, it's not valuable to me. I just want something instantaneous. Then it means nothing. Or I want the quick edit and it means nothing. So yeah, there's a part of that. How do we, how do you close that value gap? How do you close the value gap in that way? Like, how do you show somebody, well, it really will be valuable to you, even, or your perception is off? That's a bigger question.
Yeah. It's most of our inbound calls, people are ready to go. They've got a video in mind. They've got a need. So they need the thing. What I'm trying to do now, I've got my email list that I've been building for the past decade, over a decade. And I'm trying to nurture those people. I'm trying to educate those people. I sent him an email this morning. We're talking about, long-term, what's your plan? What's your strategy for 2024? Not just one video, but like, what is your content strategy for this year? How are you going to show up? And so I think educating and inviting people into this conversation of like a one-hit wonder, like that's not going to be helpful for you. Maybe it will. I shouldn't say that it won't be helpful, because that can definitely, we create a viral video for a specific audience that could get them tons and tons of leads. That's not going to be the case for most people. So it's really about trying to understand what people's goals are, trying to, the inbound people that are calling us for a project, those people aren't ready for the conversation of like, hey, like we should slow down and, we can share a process with them, and we 9 times out of 10 are going to get them to do a workshop with us, and through that we're going to be educating them slowly and surely. But they still have this specific need. They're not ready to talk about high level, year-long strategy. Like, we don't got time. Like, we got Q1 goals, we got to hit them, so we got to hit the ground running with this. And it's like, okay. So for the right people that understand, there's a lot more potential and opportunity if we spend the time that's needed. But that's a very small percentage of the inbound clients that are coming in. But maybe a little bit bigger chance for the people that are signing up to our email list and that are hanging around and that have been hanging around for years. For them, they get it. Do they have the budgets? Do they have the approval to be able to sign off and say like, let's start creating this content. Let's do this. I mean, that's another question, but so many of the people that I have conversations with are like, oh my gosh, like if we had the budget, we would for sure be doing like regular ongoing content to help share the brand and do all the things that we want to do, but we don't.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I love what you're saying just about the empathy and and paraphrasing here, the idea of educating, because I think there's an empathy to that, right? It's like you're seeing somebody's problem, you're seeing somebody's need, and it's not about forcing your agenda on them and saying, you need a brand, you need a video, you need this web design, you need this. Oftentimes they're like, well, I don't know. Not that we don't educate them and try to show them the value or the value in those things, but that we see where they're at, and we see it as a true relationship that can build over time. And maybe right now, maybe it isn't in the budget to do what you're saying. I can't do a deep dive workshop with you that I don't have, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand laying around. But maybe it's just meeting once a week for coffee, and I can pay a couple $100 that's where I'm at right now. And that's okay too. And those relationships are valuable. I think it's seeing the relationship as an end in itself sometimes, and not just a means to an end too.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that is valuable to people. But I love what you said of just, I'm going to nurture the leads. I'm going to educate them. I'm going to offer them things just for the sake of offering it, because I think it's valuable. And if you believe it's valuable and you really are standing behind it, people will smell that authenticity. It'll come through.
Yeah, I think that's great. This is getting me, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here because I'm getting excited about this specific thing. A year and a half ago, we hired a social media team to help create regular posts. and that's been going great. We've landed some work. We've had old clients that have come back, said like, man, like loving the stuff that you're posting. I'm realizing that I'm telling people, you know, we have this great email onboarding email flow that people get when they sign up to our lead magnets and free offers and whatnot. And I'm able to educate them on things that I believe, but going one step further, I'm realizing like, holy cow, like I need to make sure that we're doing those things for us as well. So if I'm telling somebody, hey, you should really have a content strategy. Hey, you should be doing one video a week. Hey, you should have a brand video. Hey, you should do some FAQ videos. If I'm not doing that stuff as a video business owner, like sure, the excuse is, okay, you're the shoe cobbler. You don't have time to make shoes for your kids because that's the work that you do for money and whatever. Well, at some point, we as video producers, I don't like using the word should, but we might consider looking at what is the number one video that we're telling clients or we're educating people that they really should consider doing. And if we don't have that video or have that strategy or whatever, we really should try to find time. Can we implement this for ourselves? It doesn't have to be like, you know, the big way. And maybe we need to hire somebody to help us, because we don't have the capacity, even though like we have all the ability, but we just can't do it time-wise. Might be worth looking into. Then the conversation when you're educating people, it's like, yeah, we're doing this for some of our clients. You should consider, because based on everything that you've told me, this seems like it would be a great fit.
Yeah, no, that's a good word, man. And I think part of that too is we can't all be good or be the best at every single thing that we do all the time. And so you may understand the concept, you may understand how to implement something, but I'm not a videographer. I work with a lot of videographers, and I give them brand guides and I give them direction and I provide overview. But oftentimes it's like I'm not gonna take my camera down to the ER that we're shooting for this hospital and shoot this video. I'm going to hire somebody to come in who sees the vision with me, and I can direct and I can work with and partner with and make something more exceptional than I could have made on my own. And so I think that's true sometimes about our own marketing. Even have an oversight in it, know who you are. Absolutely. Because again, that authenticity has to come through. You have to stand behind it. You have to put your signature on it. But you know, that doesn't mean that I love the idea that you have someone doing social media for you. It's like, I'm not a social media expert. I don't have time to do that in the same way. And it wouldn't be as good if I just did it. So let's collaborate together. There's something really beautiful and special about collaborating with other people to make something better than you could make on your own, or more effective than you could make on your own.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, I love that.
I talk to so many business owners that are frustrated with the clients that they're not getting and the projects that they're working on. Education is that thing that can become the differentiator. So having some kind of an opt-in on your webpage that, you know, somebody's not ready to book you. Okay, well, hey, download the top 10 things to consider before hiring your next video producer, or download our pricing guide, or, you know, whatever that thing is. Because as soon as you get somebody onto your email list, they're until they unsubscribe, they're going to be at least seeing your emails. Unlike social media, where it's like, you know, fat chance that they're going to see your post amongst all the other posts that they get inundated with. When you're able to educate them, you have the opportunity to start to talk about the thing that you think is the most important thing in your work. So you get to control your destiny at some level, where people are frustrated. I'm coaching people and they're like, oh, well, you know, nobody wants to pay me to do a workshop where I take them through our process and give them a blueprint. Nobody wants, like, all of people that are calling us, you know, want this kind of video. It's like, okay, yeah, right. Because right now, maybe that's how people know you. But if you're not educating, if you're not showing up on social media, not talking about the projects that you're doing that you're not crazy about, but talking about the other kinds of projects that you think would help a business so much more so. If you're not educating people on social media, and then you're not going the next level by having some kind of an email opt-in and educating them even more on this, whether it's a brand film or FAQ videos or explainer videos or whatever that thing is that you just believe wholeheartedly in, then you have no excuse. You have no reason to complain about not getting the kind of work that you want. Because if you're not letting people know the importance of that specific thing that you care so much about, like, how would anybody know what kind of video that they should have? Only by seeing their competitor, or by, watching commercials on TV, or watching a YouTube video or whatever. But they're not educated. They don't know, video marketing. They don't understand branding. Like, until somebody takes the time to educate them, or, really tries to provide some value to them, they're doing the best they can with what they have. So it's your responsibility. If you really believe in what you're doing, it's your responsibility to educate. And for the longest time, I was annoyed and frustrated with social media and trying to come up with posts that were interesting to people. After we got out of weddings was super easy to post. But when we started doing corporate storytelling, it was just really difficult. And we didn't have a specific niche. But now I'm seeing, like, oh, if I want people to hire us to do more consulting and to come alongside them and to do road mapping and video blueprint sessions, I have to be talking about that. I have to show up on social. I have to talk about that. I need to create a free opt-in that's about that. I need to have an email funnel that is about that. Then guess what? Last week, I did a 2-hour session for a company in San Francisco. I was here in my Detroit, Michigan home office, ran this 2-hour workshop. Unfortunately, it was at 5 p.m. my time, because that was the only time that could work. Outside of that, I made $3,500, 2 hours of work. I still will need to spend about 2 hours building this roadmap for them. But that's only because the brand manager sees me online, knows what value we bring. I communicated effectively, and they said, yeah, we want that thing. We haven't even done a video yet. We're not doing a video yet. They're going to see this roadmap, and they're going to say, yes, we want you guys to actually do this video. Or they're going to take that roadmap, and they're going to be able to farm it out to another video company and say, like, hey, these guys said it was going to cost this much. This is the scope. This is all the things. Can you do this? Oh, you can do it for a lot cheaper. Cool. Pretty good chance they're not going to go with another video company, because I spent 2 hours with them. They look at me as the expert. So there's a lot of trust built there. So anyway, I'm passionate and excited. I need to calm down.
No. Bring it. I love the passion. I love the excitement. And I think what you're talking about is putting that thing out there. It's like, I forgot who said it, right? Putting the thing out there that's more valuable than the thing that people sell. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. We have a workbook right now on our website that people can go and download, and it literally is. It just walks you step by step through like how to write a brand obituary. Like, if your brand died today, what would people remember about it? How to position yourself, how to think about your values, your mission, all of those things, and not just channels. So people could download it and fill it out, and then it's like, what are you going to do with it? Well, I mean, there are some people who are going to take that and it's a perfect start. And then there's some people, it's like, here's an opportunity for us to connect and talk a little bit more about it. Maybe we meet one time. Maybe it's just a discovery meeting. But chances are we're gonna learn a little bit more about each other, having done that and having gone through that educational process. So I love that way of closing that gap, that value gap of educating people. And I absolutely think you're right. And I think this day and age, it can get really challenging, right? Like, again, you want things quicker, faster. Some people aren't willing to go through the ugly process of staying up late at night and not sure about if their business plan is going to work out. Some people aren't willing. I think there's a lot of things in that process and that uncertainty that are important, that build your brand, that build your character, that build the future, that legacy that you're after. But you have to put in the time. You have to be willing to do it. And so, yeah, I love what you're saying about this idea of educating people and sharing that knowledge. And you said, like, we made $3,500, but on top of that, Ryan, how much more valuable is the potential future there for people? It's not $3,500 now. It's years from now. A better relationship, more business, people who trust your expertise more, and build into that that percentage of people who want to do business with people they trust. So that's huge,
Well,
huge.
this particular project, the budget is $50,000, and they're trying to see if they can find more. And this is part one of, they've got multiple levels of these. They're essentially courses that need to be filmed. So it's this relationship in particular is a 6-figure, maybe more, relationship opportunity. David, what should somebody do that is hearing this conversation and saying, you know what, okay, I've never formally gone through any type of branding process. I'm not really sure where to start. What do you recommend?
I think being uncertain and being open-handed with it is a great place to start. I don't know. So often we come to things, I know the answer and I've got it all figured out. And I think business owners, we all do this a lot, right? Like we want to take charge of our business. But I think the first step is going, I want my brand to succeed. I want people to recognize it now, and I want to build a long-term legacy. I could really use somebody's outside perspective who can talk with me, who can meet with me, and who can kind of lead me on that journey, a partner. And I think the first thing to do would be to admit, again, you don't know everything. None of us do. And then look for somebody who's in it with you and for you, and isn't just about turn and burn, the agency mentality, which can so often be, like get the client in, get them out, move on to the next project. I would ask questions of them. I would ask, like, in what ways are you going to be invested in me? And what way are you? Let them lay that out there for you. Let them tell you about the journey that they're willing to walk with you, and see where that can go. Let them see the types of questions they ask from you. Again, coming back to this idea, it shouldn't just be about you, but I think a good brand strategist, somebody who's worth their weight in gold, is somebody who's not going to just tell you you're good at what you do, tell you all, you're an exceptional company. You don't, just put a logo on there and you're going to do great. I think that a lot of money is wasted in a rebrand, instead of somebody asking the tough questions of saying, do we even need this rebrand?
Yeah.
Is there some value in the identity that we have now? Is there value in our voice that we have now? We just need somebody to give us confidence, like you said, and bring clarity. Because there's a tremendous risk in a rebrand too. So I think those things, I think the humility, I think coming forward and asking the tough questions. And I think that the radical candor of somebody telling you that you're not so great, and being able to poke and prod at those things, you should be looking for that.
Yeah.
You should be looking for that in this generation of people who just want a pat on the back. It's not always so good.
Yeah.
And then, don't let somebody reduce a rebrand down to the visual elements, down to a video, down to a logo, down to design. Ask them what is a brand, and if that's what they reduce it down to, I think maybe you should look elsewhere, or think elsewhere. Challenge that, and remember that this idea that the brand is the promise. It's the emotional connection. It's you. It's the authenticity. And if the logo expresses that, if the video expresses that, then so be it. That's awesome. But if it doesn't do that, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
Look for the relationship before you look for someone just to solve the problem. I would say that's huge. Look for the person who wants to walk it out with you.
I love that. That's good advice. I think too, as an individual, like as the owner or whatever part you play in the company, to be humble enough to say, like, even to say like, oh, I have been very successful. I don't need to rebrand or anything like that, but to be humble enough to say, like, you know what, I'd be curious to know what, a branding expert would say about my current brand. And does it align with, my current goals? Because your goals are probably different from when you first started however long ago. And when that happens, maybe along the way, some of your values have changed. And maybe there are some things in your current business that annoy the crap out of you. You just have come to accept them. and you haven't had anybody poke. But to be open
Yeah.
to allow somebody to poke around at your business and your vision and your values and all of that stuff, and to be humble enough to say, you know what, maybe I do need some help, maybe somebody coming alongside that has my best interest in mind. Yeah, they're going to get a paycheck, but like, you know, people that really do care about this work, that could be very, very important and could change the trajectory of all your business.
I do have one thing to share on that before we go or anything.
Yeah.
Last year we did a complete reposition and rebrand for a college. And when they approached us, they said something along the lines of, we're the local affordable accredited, you know, college, and like the baseline thing. And when we developed their brand ladder and we're thinking about all the features and benefits and all of the things that we interviewed students and interviewed their faculty, we completely repositioned them. We said, this is who you say you are and who you think you are, because it's baseline, right? This is easy for you to do. And, but this is who you actually are. And I'll never forget sitting in the room reviewing our position deck, our brand overview deck, with the president of the school. And he looks at me and he said, what you have done here is going to change our acceptance policy at this school. It's going to change how we accept students. It's going to change how we see ourselves. It's going to change the level of classes that we offer. It will literally change the type of accreditation that we are. And that was huge. That, like, when he said that, I was like, you get it. You get it. This brought you clarity. This is, and it was easy to design from there. It's so easy to design the brand identity because you knew exactly who you were.
Yep. That's so good. David, how can people connect with you and follow along with the things that you've got going on?
Sure thing. Yeah. So you can either visit our website, davidmastersgroup.com, and check it out there. You know, feel free to connect with us there. You can check me out on LinkedIn too. I do have a LinkedIn page going up. I would say socially, that's where I'm the most active. Everyone's got their social media vice. Mine is LinkedIn. Or honestly, I'm always good. We put our phone number right on our website on our contact, or email me at david@davidmastersgroup.com, or my wife, Jennifer, at davidmastersgroup.com. We would love to just talk with you and have a real conversation. Doesn't have to be so formal. Maybe we just want to jump on a Zoom call or a phone call. Or if you're in Southern Oregon, we can have coffee or something.
And like go buy some stuff at Best Buy and not pay tax. That'd be fun.
That's Oregon's brand right there.
Yeah. From my perspective, I'm like, that's a pretty cool thing. David, this has been so fun, man. Great hanging out with you. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you for spending time with us, and wish you an amazing 2024 and beyond.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
All right, my friend, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Remember, show notes can be found at studiosherpas.com/371. And if you have questions about this episode, if something stood out and you want to let me know, I would love to hear from you. And you can email me, Ryan, RYAN, at studiosherpas.com. That's .com. Any Homestar Runner fans out there? Or is that just me? Yeah. Homestar, so good. Anyway, I am seriously so thankful that you're here. I am thankful that I get to do this show, and I've got more amazing stuff coming. So stick around. See you next week. Bye for now.